Hello, today we're going to go over alcohol inks and some techniques and tips on how to use them. First, let me introduce you to my new line of alcohol inks. This is Emerging Emerald. It's a vibrant green. We have Electric Eggplant, which is a vibrant purple. We have obviously Obsidian, which is a blackish blue. We have Summertime Sangria, which is an orangey red. Captivating Cobalt, which is a very beautiful blue. Open Ocean, which is like a turquoise. Bodacious Boysenberry. Forest Fern, which is a light green. Buzzing Bumblebee, a very beautiful yellow. We have Sensational Seafoam, which is like an aqua blue. We have Homestead Hickory, which is a nice brown. We have Tasty Tangerine, which is a very beautiful orange, as well as our alcohol blending solution. I want to show other variations other than Yupo paper because I understand Yupo paper is super expensive. But I want to show you can use alcohol ink on basic papers you may have already at home. So first I'm going to start with Vellum. And as I'm going to be taping this down. I'm going to suggest taping it down well. I did not. And you'll see the paper does move and curl sometimes with the amount of ink you put on it. Alright, so I'm going to pick out 3 colors. I think I picked out Summertime Sangria, Bodacious Boysenberry, and the Electric Eggplant. These lids are very childproof. They will take a lot to get off, which is not a bad thing if you have children and they get into your stuff. So I just want to make sure safety first. We have our alcohol inks. After all, it does stain very well. And I'm going to put those colors all on my blending pad, which is felt on top of my Tim Holtz mini blending tool. And I'm going to put a little bit of my blending solution on it. And I'm just going to do stripes of this down the vellum. And one thing is, it looks very vibrant right now, but it will mute down as it soaks into the vellum and almost do a sheer thing. As you see, the tape did not hold well. It does get wet and move. That's just the way the alcohol inks work. But as you see, there's that one. And I'm going to just fix this corner and make sure it's a little all consistent. Cleaning off your thing is real easy. Rubbing alcohol on a wipe or towel, whatever you want to use, gets it off for good. Next thing I'm doing is I'm going to be dabbing. I just do little dab marks, and the ink actually pools, or some people call it blooms, as it hits the paper, which is really fun. And you get those nice little pools of color. And I'm doing that in the same colors that I did it previously. The Sangria, the Bodacious Boysenberry, and the Electric Eggplant. Alright, and I also decided to go in, I believe I did it with the Open Ocean to add a little bit more color to this panel. And I'm just going to dab some in there in between. And as you see, look at how wonderful that pools on there. Alright, for my last panel of vellum, and then I'm going to actually show here in the video, I'm just going to go freeform. I'm just going to let it drop and let it spread. I'm also going to show you how to use a basic tool that we all have in our kitchen to make this color move even better. So as you see, I'm using the Captivating Cobalt. This would be the Electric Eggplant, and the Buzzing Bumblebee. And I think I'm also going to pick out, yes, it was the Sensational Seafoam. Now I'm going to tape this down a little bit so that I can actually put in some of the blending solution too, and that will give it some little pools of color. And you see how the alcohol inks actually move as it hits it. Now here I'm just using a basic straw to help it move along. A straw is a great tool to have as you're trying to make your alcohol spread. You just give it a little bit of air through the straw and it will actually move the ink around for you. And here I am, I'm going to wipe it down one more time since I made a little bit of a mess there. A little rubbing alcohol on top of that. As you're working with this stuff, make sure your area is well ventilated with a fan, so that way you don't have any fumes get into you. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to lift some of this ink off your panel that you just made with a stencil. I've watched Jennifer McGuire do this, and it's actually really fun and easy. So you're going to take a foam dauber, not the felt, but the foam, and you're going to just dab it lightly on top of your stencil. And that will lift actually some of the ink off it. You will not see it right now, but those wet spots will actually turn into the clear vellum again. Next, I'm going to actually take some acetate. You know, we all have acetate. If you have polymer stamps, you get this acetate in every single thing. But you can actually use it for your alcohol inks too, though you get a slightly different reaction to it. The ink does not spread or pool or bloom as much as it would on the regular vellum or Yupo paper, but you can move it along with the straw. So I'm going to get my colors on there. I put on the Forest Fern, the Emerging Emerald, the Sensational Seafoam, and the Buzzing Bumblebee, and I am going to add some more of my blending solution. And like I did before, I'm going to push it around with my straw. Very simple, very easy, and as you move it around, it will pool around, and you get this very vibrant color. And you can even move it around even with your fingers. Alright, so I also want to show you the same stripe technique on the vellum that I did on the vellum on this, though you're going to get a very different reaction. And I almost didn't show this, but you know what? I figured let's show it to them because they're going to wonder, how does it do when you spread it like this? It's going to be a very sheer result. You're not going to see it very vibrantly. You're not going to see the variations as well. As you see, you can barely see it through this. It's almost still clear. If you put it on a pastel, I believe it would probably pop more, but it would not be the best technique to use on acetate, if you ask me, because it just really doesn't show. Alright, so the closest variation you can get without buying Yupo paper, and I'm going to tell you this, is photo paper. Plain old photo paper. I am going to say it works better on semi-gloss. I have not tried it on matte, and I will show it to you on glossy, and you will see the different effects you get on it. I even tried a technique that someone showed me, and I'm going to show you why the semi-gloss is 10 times better. And as you see, it's pooling and it's blooming. It's doing everything it does on Yupo paper. And you can mix your colors really nicely. I'm just doing basic dropping on this, not going anything. You see how it's just pooling very nicely. And your colors are blending. In fact, I don't even think I'm going to need my straw to blend this. It's blending itself beautifully, but I'm going to try it just to get that cool little swirly effect in it. The colors I did use did kind of make a brown color with it, but I think it's still pretty for what I'm doing. And I'm coming in with all the rainbows of colors. Look at that tasty tangerine. Isn't that fun? It's very bright and vibrant. Alright, so here is this glossy paper. It is uber glossy. One lady suggested that you put down a layer of your blending solution or just plain alcohol over the glossy paper and it would help pool. As you see, it's making weird effects to the paper, but it does help with the pooling. I felt that it did also leave a little halo around my inks, which I really was not crazy about, but it did semi-work. But I don't know if I would use the dropping technique on this paper because you're not going to get the blooming as well as you will get it on the semi-gloss. And as you see, as I put my blending solution, it just leaves like little halos. It doesn't even pull the ink. On this panel, I decided let's try doing the spreading with the felt on the tool. Now, if you're doing that, it actually does work well. So if you want to use glossy photo paper for spreading it with a blending tool, it actually does work really nice. But droplets, it just does not do it. All right, so here I am back to the semi-gloss. Like I said, it's the closest variation you're going to get to the Upo paper without spending $23, I think, for 10 sheets. It's wicked expensive, and I can't fathom it, but I feel like this does very well. And look at that, even streaking it. Look at that beautiful color that's coming out on it. And this was actually photo paper I had just for my printer. I got it and I use it every once in a while, but I had a bunch left over, so I figured let's try it and show whether this would be a good variation for you or not. And here I am just putting the blending solution on top of it, and look at how it is just pooling and blooming and making beautiful little spots on it. And I said, why not? Let's put some electric eggplant too on top too and let that react. Isn't that fun? All right, so I'm going to get this out of our way. Another technique is plain paper. Okay, you're like, plain paper does not work with alcohol inks. It does when you react it with water. I saw this technique with Jennifer McGuire, and I thought it was so much fun. So make sure you have a bin or a tin that you don't care about, and you're just going to drop your alcohol inks into it, and the paper is going to collect the ink from the water. Your paper does warp with this, so you would have to reflatten it. But the marbled paper you get with this is gorgeous. So as you see, I'm just dropping my blues and greens families and purples in this right now. And I am just going to take my little tweezers and I'm going to stick them in there. Oh, look at that. Self-clamping tweezers, and just stick the paper in. And you can even do a second generation and you still get a marble. So now I'm going to put some more of that electric eggplant in. And I am also going to put some not perfect pearls, my Pearlax into that. And you get a little bit of that pearled marbling going on. It's a beautiful way to use your alcohol inks with just basic paper. Now this is watercolor paper. I've decided let's try some on watercolor paper squares too. And to see how it would absorb into the watercolor paper, and it also did very wonderful. Sorry for my glittery fingers. Of course, I just stuck my fingers in the Pearlax, not a tool or anything. So I have glitter fingers. But it was so worth it for the fun paper we're getting. Nothing wrong with getting a little messy. And look at that. All right. So we're going to do some more. I did a lot of these. You can even put your blending solution too for a different reaction to it. And I'll just actually spread that. Oops, see, glitter fingers. All right, here we go. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I changed my water so that I can do some more of the oranges and reds too, so you can see that you can actually use not just the blues and greens, but also some fun oranges, yellows, and reds, and get the same effect. Let me put some electric eggplant in there too. Let's have some fun with that. Look at that color on that. You can just see it already. Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. So here's a fun way, and actually less messy way too, of using your alcohol inks. That is going to be the Homestead Hickory, and I'm going to put some of this Sensational Seafoam in it, as well as the Open Ocean, as well as Buzzing Bumblebee. And look at that color. Oh my gosh. These will take a while to dry, I will warn you, because it is paper in the water. Of course, you're going to have to let it dry. You cannot heat set alcohol. It's too volatile. All right, so here's my ideas of this. I love the Vellum. It worked very well. I suggest taping it down as well as you can. These I did, and they did not warp as bad. Acetate, if you are doing freeform drops, yes. If you're doing streaking or any other technique of blending it with a tool, you're going to get such a faint effect you probably won't even see it. Glossy paper, no. Unless you're really streaking it, I would never use it. It does not react well. Paper, excuse some of it being still wet. Marbling is gorgeous. Look at these. Aren't they pretty? I mean, even some of the ones with the Parallax, you can see the shine in them. Look at that. Look at that swirl, that shine. Isn't that pretty? And the fun thing is it goes on both sides. So check your sides out, see which one you like better before you use it, because the other side might be just as beautiful, if not better. So definitely worth it. Now your best bet if you want to do vibrant colors with your alcohol inks is the semi-gloss photo paper. Inexpensive, cheap to buy. I mean, you can get it at Walmart for $10 for 25 sheets. It's reasonable. And look at I just dropped and dabbed with these, and look at that. Isn't that pretty? Like I said, HP photo paper. Look at that. I would definitely suggest a semi-gloss. Like I said, I haven't tried it on a matte yet, but you can always try it and see what you get for it. All right, so today I'm making some cards with a Hello Birdie as well as Let's Be Happy stamp from Unity Stamp Company. They're fun Eastery kind of designs, which kind of went for these bright, fun, springy colored backgrounds. And I hand colored them with my touch markers, and I am going to adhere them onto my cards. All right, so first I'm going to start with some mesh ribbon on the bottom. And I'm going to adhere some craft foam to the back of this panel, just to give that panel a nice raise to it. And I'm going to tuck these little flowers under it with some adhesive. I'm just laying them out right now to see which way I want them. And like I said, I'm going to tuck them underneath the ribbon. You may have noticed I have a new mat behind me. I didn't use it in the beginning of the video because, of course, when you're using your alcohol inks, please make sure you use something you don't love because it will stain in some variations. And I didn't want to ruin my new glass mat. This one's actually from We Are Memory Keepers. And I got it at Michael's for a very good deal. And it fits perfectly in my space. All right, so we're going to bring out my Stamp Perfect. I'm sorry it's so messy. I've been stamping like crazy. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment inside it. And I'm using the Cottage Ivy. And I believe I'm using the Let's Be Happy stamp from the Let's Be Happy stamp kit from Unity Stamp. And I'm going to put that on there a couple times so it's nice and bright, just like the rest of the card. So I'm going to put that aside for a little bit and let that dry. Oh, look at that. Isn't that cute? All right, so let's get this foam ready to go onto the card. And I'm going to line this up. And I decided not to do any embellishments on this because you know what? It's so cute and by itself. And it's so happy. All right, I'm using the same little Hello Birdie stamp set for this one. And I'm using a little bit of pink mesh ribbon this time to bring out the pink in the panel. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to adhere this ribbon to the card panel here. All right. So this one I think I'm going to raise up. I'm laying it out, trying to figure out where I want it. Don't want it on the top. I do think I really do want it on top of the ribbon. All right, so for this, I decided to use my foam squares from Scotch. And I'm going to adhere this chick and these flowers to this card. I want them to be raised a little bit differently than they were in the first card. So I'm going to put a bunch of this foam squares all over the flowers and the chick. And there's one on that. And now let's get this flower laid out. All right, there's that flower pretty much. Just get one more little bit. Alright, now let's do this last flower. I love Unity stamp stuff. Sometimes it's so whimsical and cute. This one I got last year for Easter, and I loved it. And I love how I can color them really bright and happy. Figured I'd get some more Easter cards done before the holiday comes through. I'll be actually bringing some of this to a craft fair locally, and hopefully everybody's going to love them too, as much as I love them. Alright, I'm going to glue my foam panel onto the back of my front panel. And now I'm going to put my sentiment in, and I'm going to use the same cottage ivy and another sentiment from the Let's Be Happy. This one is going to be Make Today Happy. Alright, so I'm going to stamp that a couple times so it's nice and bright. Alright, so now I'm going to stick my chick in the flowers on this card panel. I wanted to do the insert first so it had time to dry before I stuck this on top of it. I did some of my color press embossing on this, and the colors are really fun. It has a nice little kind of glossiness to it when you put it in the light. And there's my little chick. Oh my gosh, that is just adorable. Alright, so now let me put my adhesive on the back of this. Here's another one that I am not going to actually do a lot of embellishing on because I love the colors in it. Isn't that cute? Alright, so on to another card. This time I'm using the bunny from the Let's Be Happy set. And I'm trying to figure out if I want to put this panel straight or do it kind of kitty cornered. And I think this panel, I wanted to do a kitty corner. So the first thing I'm going to do is adhere my craft foam to this panel. Now, as I do this and you're saying, oh, but you're going to have craft foam on the part that you're going to cut off. That's fine. I can reuse that on something else. The whole point is to raise that panel. So I'm going to clean off my mat. And I'm going on my Stamp Perfect, and I am going to put on the front of this card the Make Today Happy. I believe it is, right? Yes, Make Today Happy. And I'm going to do that in the plum color from my Memento ink. And I'm going to do the same color with the Easter Blessings from this kit. And let me just line that up correctly. Alright, and there we go. Easter Blessings. And I'm going to let that dry and wipe off my stamp. And now I'm going to try to figure out where I'm going to position exactly this panel. And with a pen, I'm going to make marks so I know where to lay my adhesive and where not to. So I don't get as much outside of those lines as I do. Because when I'm cutting it, I don't want to be trying to cutting through adhesive. Not to mention it's going to stick everywhere. Alright, and I'm going to line up as close as I can to that line. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut off the excess. Alright, so now I'm going to put some craft foam behind this bunny on the bottom. And then I'm going to tape roller the top because I don't want it to be raised on top of that other panel. And there's that one. Now, this one I did decide to use some of my, I believe it's my copper and blue ombre pearls. They are available on the site. I have had a restock of them, so they are now available again, as well as some rhinestones that I will be using later. And as you go on today or next couple days, you'll notice the alcohol inks are also on. So if you do enjoy some of these colors, please feel free to buy some. They'll be available in 20 milliliter bottles, as well as the blending solution. I have a low quantity now on the site, but more can be added as needed. As for all these, I make in home, so they're not something I have to wait for it to come through in the mail. Alright, So here we are, we're going to do the next card, and it's going to be similar with that bunny from that kit. But I am going to actually not do a kitty corner, I'm going to just do it right across the top. So we are going to do the same thing, put our sentiment on the bottom, and I believe for this one, I did the same plum color. It's the sweet plum, I believe. And I'm going to put that on the bottom there with Easter blessings. It's a nice purple. It's not too bright, but yet it's perfect for like pastel-y purple items. And I'm going to use that Let's Make Today Happy inside. All right. So we're going to adhere it. I didn't line it up with a pen this time. I'm just going to kind of freeform it. And I did very well, actually. I didn't get any glue past that point. Couldn't have done any better. And I'll save that little foam piece. I can always use that for a future card. And like the same thing I did with the other one, I'm going to put some adhesive on the top and then put some foam squares on the bottom so that the bottom is raised, but the top that is sitting on the panel will be flat against the panel. All right, and for this one, like I said, we are going to use those new chessboard rhinestones I have in the store. They are actually very beautiful. The facets in them are nice. They're not the traditional facet. I do have some traditional color rhinestones coming in, hopefully in the next couple weeks. Last time I knew they should be here no later than the end of March. So hopefully they'll be here soon, if not earlier. Oh, look at that. Aren't those beautiful? Okay, so there is this card. All right, now we're going to have some fun with some vellum. You know, vellum can be tricky to adhere to cards. It's nothing against the vellum. It's just adhesive just does not work well with it sometimes. But we're going to be a little tricky. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put tons of foam squares on the back of this bunny so that it sticks up on this foam. So here I am. These are those Scotch squares. You know I use them like crazy. And I'm just going to line it up all over this bunny. All right, so we're going to adhere this to that vellum as center as we can. All right, and now we are also going to put some adhesive behind this bunny. But we're also going to put on this very beautiful silver mesh ribbon on the bottom with some adhesive also. And this is going to be the spots that I'm going to put the most adhesive on, is behind this ribbon and behind the bunny. That way my adhesive is not showing on the visible vellum parts on this card. So now let me put in my sentiment. I'm going to make Let's Make Today Happy, or Let's Make Today Happy, excuse me. In the same plum ink. And then, like I said, here's the ink going, the adhesive going on the bunny. And I already put adhesive on the ribbon part. So we're going to push that down. And I did notice that we had a piece that did not take well on the bottom. So I'm going to just stick a little bit more adhesive underneath that ribbon. And as you see, it holds it down. But I'm also going to try to get a little bit on the corners very lightly so that it's not too visible. But there is that. Isn't that adorable? All right, so I'm going to make a little panel for the bottom. And I am going to use, I believe it's the Let's Be Happy? I believe it's the Let's Be Happy. And I'm using that same plum ink. Yes, the Let's Be Happy. And I'm going to do like I do with most of my craft. I heat emboss it with some clear embossing powder because I find it, like I said before in other videos, is sometimes with craft, it likes to seep. And I just don't want it seeping into my sentiment. So we're going to cut this, and I didn't cut very straight the first time, so we're going to fix it up in a minute. Let me see if I can line this up as good as I can here. All right. Now I'm going to fishtail both sides of this little sentiment. So let's put some adhesive on it and stick it on there. All right. So for this, I'm also going to use some of these clear chessboard gems. As you see, I'm not using my pick it up tool. Usually I have it. For some reason, I have misplaced it. I don't know where it is, but I will find it. But for now, I'm going to just use some good old tweezers to pick up my gems. See, it is possible without your pick up tool. And this one, I'm going to do the same thing. I am going to kitty corner. But look at the colors in this panel. Aren't these beautiful? I'm amazed. I love alcohol inks. They're gorgeous. They make beautiful backgrounds. And I'm so happy that I could formulate my own, that I can make whatever colors in the rainbow. And I had so much, it's a messy process, but it was so much fun to make too. Of course, then again, maybe it was the fumes of making it. Who knows? But it was fun to make for you guys. And for myself too, to use. Alright, so I did the same line technique. I lined it up as much as I could on there and put adhesive only in the spots where it needs to be. And for this card, for our first front sentiment, and this one I believe I'm using the evening, is it Evening Primrose? I do enjoy my Memento inks. And then inside is going to be the Easter Blessings. So I thought, let's be happy in the front and Easter Blessings inside. And I am going to try to line that up, though I was a little off. But I got it straight anyway. And that shows too, you don't always have to put your panels straight. You know, we are so stuck to doing straight panels sometimes that, you know what, sometimes kitty cornering it and trimming off the excess is really fun. And I decided, hey, let's try it on these Easter cards, because Easter is supposed to be fun. So I'm going to do some more of that foam tape on the bottom, and then I'm going to adhere it with a regular adhesive roller on top. And for this one, I'm going to do the blue and pink ombre pearls. And I'm going to stick some up here as well as stick some by the bunny. So let me start with a bigger size. I did a 3, 4, and 5 millimeter size in it, just in case you're curious what size these are. I usually tend to use these more than the bigger ones unless I'm doing like one big one. I do have some up to 12 millimeter on my site, not in the ombre but in the solids. Alright, and there's one. This is the one with the little panel with the vellum. Here's another little bunny one. Aren't they sweet? I really do love this little bunny stamp. It is just so cute. As you see, I stamped a lot of them. I did 4 of them in total. And then this one is this darling too. I love the bright colors in them. And that concludes our video. I hope you enjoy these cards. And thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.